Good evening and welcome to the Salem Area Mass Transit District Board of Directors for meeting for May 22nd, 2014. Tonight we have the second reading of the district's police ordinance. That's 14-01, and we will deliberate and vote on the proposed ordinance. We'll have public comment, then we'll approve the consent calendar, which contains minutes from a work session and 3 housekeeping items, including a budget amendment to move some funds between accounts, to improve funds to improve our rental space for our new tenant that's coming in, and finally adjusting the number of a policy approved last year that was misnumbered. We have 5 action items tonight. The first is appointment of members of the Citizen Advisory Committee. Second is a resolution to approve and revise our Title 6 policy, which we'll go into a little bit later, and approve the next is approve the distribution of funds from additional state funds for the Specialized Transportation Fund group, and finally selection of the board member to review the general manager's comprehensive performance evaluation. We have no information items tonight, and we'll conclude with a number of reports. So our Pledge of Allegiance tonight will be headed by Director Krebs. And I'll open the meeting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Announcements or changes to the agenda?
The only change, which you have in your packets, but in case someone didn't get a revised agenda, we did add item H.5, accepting the Courthouse Square post-construction report.
Okay. Okay. It's time now for the second reading of ordinance 14-01. Do you want to say something about it before we move into it?
I'd ask Karen Garcia, our security coordinator, to present the staff report.
Good evening, President Thompson and members of the board. Tonight, shall the board make the motion to hear the second reading of ordinance 2014-01 by title only. The title reads, Ordinance 2014-01, Courthouse Square Police Ordinance, amending Ordinance 2004-01 as amended by Ordinance 2004-03, and copies of the ordinance are available to review here at the board meeting. The background and findings. In 2000, the board adopted ordinances to govern the actions of persons using district facilities by establishing rules and regulations related to the use of district facilities and providing remedies for violations thereof. These ordinances have been used to facilitate the purposes as set forth in ORS Chapter 267 for the safety, convenience, and comfort of all of our district passengers, and for the protection, preservation, use, and enjoyment of district property, which includes the Courthouse Square Transit Mall. Known as the Police Ordinance, Ordinance 2000-01 has been amended by a number of ordinances to include 2001-01, 2002-01, 2003-01, and 2004-02. In 2004, the board adopted the Courthouse Square Police Ordinance, which is number 2004-01, to establish rules and regulations specifically related to the use of and activities on Hatfield Plaza and the North Block. The ordinance has been amended just once with ordinance number 2004-03. In certain cases, ordinance enforcement specifically related to behaviors that were allowed in one area, for instance, the Hatfield Plaza, that were not allowed in other areas, like the Transit Mall. The challenge for the Salem Police Department and our staff is coordinating each of the amendments and establishing clear directives of behavior in all areas of the Transit Mall complex, including the Hatfield Plaza and North Block areas. There are no proposed changes to the Police Ordinance 2000-01 or its amendments. However, tonight, we've created and are presenting the second reading for the proposed Ordinance 2014-01, which amends 2004-01 as amended by 2004-03 to address the lack of congruence in behavior expectations within the transit mall complex. The proposed ordinance 2014-01 will amend 2004-01 as amended by ordinance 2004-03 as follows. In section 1.10, it amends and restates to read the following: other definitions. Terms not otherwise defined in this ordinance shall have the meanings contained in Salem Area Mass Transit District Ordinance 2000-01 as amended. And again, 2000-01 is the police ordinance. Section 2.4 will be renumbered to 2.6. In section 2.4 is amended as follows. Paragraph 2.4, smoking. No person shall smoke tobacco or any other substance or shall carry any lighted or smoldering substance in any form in any part of the North Block or in any other area designated as a non-smoking area. Section 2.5 is adopted as follows. Safety. No person shall, 1, ride a skateboard or roller skates in any part of the North Block, and 2, ride a bicycle in any part of the North Block except a peace officer or district security officer in the performance of their duties. The last change, section 3, will be reserved. The proposed ordinance has been vetted with the Salem Police Department, Marion County staff, and district staff to include our G4S private security folks. District staff is confident this document will enable good customer service with a safe and secure courthouse square facility and consistent administration of appropriate behaviors. The required public notice for the first reading was posted on April 18th, 2014 in the Statesman Journal and Keizer Times newspapers, as well as on the district's website. The first reading was completed during the regular board meeting on April 24th, 2014. The required public notice for the second reading for this evening was again posted in the Statesman Journal and Keizer Times newspapers, as well as being posted on our district website, which took place on May 16th, 2014. So the recommendation that the board adopt ordinance number 2014-01, recognizing the need for consistency of behavior throughout the transit mall complex to facilitate the safety of transit passengers and all members of the general public, and that the board secretaries certify a compilation of the Courthouse Square Police Ordinance and approved amendments to assist in communicating adopted ordinance language with members of the public. Ordinance number 2014-01 becomes effective 30 days after its adoption.
Okay, any questions for Karen?
I do have a question. I don't know when the best time to ask it is, but
Do it before probably during deliberations.
okay.
Okay, right now, we're going to open it up for a public hearing. However, there's no one signed up. So we just move right into business. Is that right? Okay. Yeah. Okay, and shall the board make a motion to hear the second reading of the ordinance 2000-14-01 by title only?
I move the board adopt ordinance 2014-01. Actually, it's the reading by title only.
Below.
On the first one, okay. To do the read it by title only, okay. Okay, I move that we have a reading of the ordinance by title only,
Second.
and that's ordinance 2014-01.
Okay, and this one we can vote on, probably don't need to discuss. Do anybody want to discuss whether we're going to read it by title only or not? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. In next. Okay. Okay, the motion will states, the title reads, Ordinance 2014-01, Courthouse Square Police Ordinance amending Ordinance number 2004-01 as amended by Ordinance 2004-03. Somebody can do the little thingy here at the bottom. Alan, go ahead. John?
I move that the board adopt ordinance number 2014-01.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Now we can have our discussion. Brad?
Yeah, I heard that there had been a disturbance on the North Block a few weeks ago with a skateboarder.
Actually wasn't, well, Karen.
I'm just curious about that.
There was not an issue on the North Block or on the Hatfield Plaza or Transit Mall. It was actually an incident that happened on the sidewalk on the High Street side of the courthouse square complex. The incident carried into the Transit Mall on the end of the center island, but it did not originate on our property. It originated on the sidewalk.
Okay. And it was a skateboarder that was disrespectful to a police officer? Is that kind of what happened?
That's my understanding. I wasn't present at the time.
Well, he was skateboarding where he shouldn't have been skateboarding. And maybe he got disrespectful, but
Okay. Yeah, I guess I asked because kind of like I raised at our last meeting, I recognize that it's important to have the ability for a police officer to address dangerous behavior, but am concerned if these ordinances mean that, if there's nobody around and they're doing it, I don't see an issue with riding a bike or riding a skateboard in the area. And anyway, just wanted to make my feeling known on that, as it's not so much the language as much as how it's implemented. So,
Understand. Thank you.
Marcia.
Have to get used to doing that. Bicycle riding and skateboarding in the downtown area on the sidewalks is prohibited. And in the exact area that potential thing or that incident happens to be pretty much the area where when I worked in this building before it was torn down, my boss's wife's leg was broken by a bicyclist running into her as she stepped out of the building. And even if people don't think that there are people around, there may be people around, and that's why for the safety of people, we don't have bicycles or skateboards on sidewalks. Not only on sidewalks, but on the transit mall because of the pedestrian issue. So,
And do you stop at stop signs when there's no cars coming? Or red lights?
as a
Unless you're riding a bicycle.
as a cyclist, I obey all the rules of the road,
Okay.
and stop to the degree that a motor vehicle does.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, are we ready for a vote? Okay, all those in favor of ordinance 2014-01 indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is the public comment. And we have one person signed up, Richard Stevenson. Do you want a microphone brought over to you, or can you get him?
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for hearing me. I just have a couple of comments about a growing problem I see, and I'm sure other people have seen it too. I'm going to use the word stroller as baby stroller, but just to be clear, these strollers are sizes of baby carriages or larger. These are not these little umbrella ones that fold up. Now, I'm well aware of the district's policy, and it's not being carried out as the district has laid it down. Some drivers are ignoring it. I was on a route where two carriages were actually side by side in one wheelchair bay. I was in the opposite bay, and the aisle was about 4 inches between us. And people had to try to crawl around all of us, and I don't think if the driver said fold the wheelchair like you're supposed to, not the wheelchair, the stroller, would have been avoided. And this ride started at Keizer Transit, and I got off at the Walmart at Devonshire, and both ladies were still there. And those strollers were not secured, and every time that bus driver made a turn, they went. I did an impromptu survey. I called Lane County, TriMet, and CAT in Las Vegas, and their policies are all the same. The strollers must be folded before the bus is boarded and remain folded until you get off the bus. And I just think if we standardize it so that the operator from Route 1 and Route 4 and Route 7 standardize the policy and enforce it the way it's meant to be enforced, then we won't have a problem. Thank you.
Well, I did respond, and you were all copied on the email talking about what our policy is. And in there, I did ask if there's a observation of the policy not being carried out, to provide us the information so we can identify who that operator is and talk with them.
If I may, it wasn't just one operator.
Understood.
And,
But when you see it, that's how, if someone is not in compliance, that's for us, that's the way for us to identify it and take action.
And one of your board was present when one of these incidents occurred.
Understood.
So the question that I have is if there's a systematic way of passing this information along to the drivers, and if if that has been done.
I suspect it has already.
It has. So we have a couple different ways to communicate with our operators. That's why Ellen was saying it's really great when we can get the exact time and the bus number that you were on. Because the way our buses are interlined, we need to know the exact time, because somebody who drives the number 19 1/2 hour, it'll be a different operator the next time. So we have a customer comment process. Those are all logged in a database. Supervisors follow up with the complainant if they wish that, and then it is then given to the operator. And if there's further coaching that needs to be done, then that's done on a one-on-one basis. We also look at video when things come in. If we see common themes, so as an example, last year we talked about the priority seating, and there's some laws around the priority seating. So we have the in-service training for operators once a year, where we bring them off the road and do 8 hours of training, and we have a customer service module in that. And we will go through one particular area every year, and then our supervisors then go out and kind of reinforce those areas.
So anyway, I just want to emphasize that I appreciate you bringing this to our attention, that it's very helpful to have that, Rich. And I'm glad to hear that it's being addressed. And it sounds to me like as the district does what we can to get the word out, that what's being asked of you and those who see it done otherwise also bring that to our attention and to the attention of the district will help in ensuring that policy gets carried out. And if there are issues with strollers, I know that some of those that ride with strollers have little kids, and I have little kids, and there's a challenge there of trying to handle as much and being under stress, and there's a lot of things that go on. Is there a good way to ensure that their needs are being met as well? And
Our policy is not that they have to fold up the stroller. That is the preferable method, that they fold their stroller, take everything out of it, fold the stroller, and board the bus. The issue becomes when it's, as an example, a young mother who has just done the grocery shopping with 2 young children. So you kind of have to weigh up what is the greatest inconvenience to have them put themselves, it's an unsafe situation because they're handing their baby off to somebody they don't know in order to get all their packages on the bus. and holding up the bus. So the person down the line is wondering why the bus is so late. So the preferable method is for them to fold the stroller and bring it in. In general, people do. It's the bigger strollers, some of them that cannot fold up even, the jogging strollers, those kind of things that it's not required.
If I may, Sue, it's not a question of priority seating. It's really a question of safety when people have to crawl over these monstrosities when the bus is moving. And, you know, God forbid somebody breaks a leg or injures one of these children in the stroller because the bus stops. That's why I think these other districts have it to fold it, and that will eliminate a lot of problems, or maybe even some legal liability. I don't know. But they told me that's why they do it, because I did ask them.
Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Okay, next item is a consent calendar. Do we have an emotion?
I move we adopt the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, are we ready for a vote? All those in favor of the consent calendar indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Next item, our action items. The first one is Resolution 2014-06, approve Title VI Plan and Supporting Policies.
Yes, thank you. Ted Stonecliffe, our long-range planning analyst, will present the staff report.
Good evening, President Thompson and members of the board. Tonight we bring the revised Title VI plan and associated policies to you for approval. What is Title VI? This is part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It provides protections to the public to ensure no discrimination based on race, color, or national origin. You might ask, why do we need to update our Title VI program? There's a new FTA circular that was released in October 2012. FTA requires an update every 3 years, and our last version was submitted in December of 2009. We received an extra 18 months to address the new requirements of the new circular and must submit this new Title VI program by June 1st, 2014 to remain in compliance. What is included in the Title VI program? These are updated population figures from the 2008 to 2012 American Community Survey estimates produced by the U.S. Census Bureau. And we have 6 new policies to address the new requirements of these new rules. The 6 policies are numbered 109 through 114. And I'll just briefly go through those policies for you. Policy 109 is the public participation process and disparate impact analysis for major service changes or fare changes. This protects minorities and minorities living in poverty from unfair treatment as a result of major service increases or decreases, or any change in fares, either an increase or decrease. Policy 110 is the disproportionate burden analysis and public participation process for major service changes or fare changes. This protects people below the federal poverty level who are not part of a minority group and protects them in the case of any major service increase or decrease, or an increase or decrease in fares, similar to Policy 109. Policy 111 is our non-elected committee minority participation encouragement policy. Ethnic backgrounds of non-elected committees should be similar to our current Salem-Keizer demographic, and this is to encourage the participation of those minority groups on our non-elected committees. An example of one of those committees is our budget committee. Policy 112, the subrecipient Title VI program monitoring policy. As a primary recipient of federal Section 5310 dollars and other federal funding programs, Salem-Keizer Transit has authority to award 5310 funds to nonprofit organizations which run transportation services. Under the new Title VI rules, primary recipients must monitor their subrecipients for compliance with Title VI regulations, because if any of our subrecipients are not in compliance, then Salem-Keizer Transit would also not be in compliance. Policy 113 is the system-wide service standards policy, and policy 114 is system-wide service policies. 113 establishes standards for vehicle load, vehicle headway, and the distribution of transit amenities. Vehicle load is the number of people riding compared with the number of seats available on the bus. Vehicle headway refers to the frequency that the buses travel. And transit amenities include shelters, trash cans, and benches. Policy 114, the system-wide service policies, establishes standards for vehicle assignment and transit access. Vehicle assignment is how Salem-Keizer Transit operations staff chooses to use different vehicles in different areas of town based on vehicle mileage and ridership. Transit access is a policy stating how close the transit service should be to the residents living within the Salem-Keizer urban growth boundary. In the memo, there are three attachments, attachment A, B, and C. The Title VI program document is included in attachment A, and that also includes the new policies. Attachment B notes a policy change that requires board action by resolution 2014-05. That was, I believe that was included in the consent calendar. And attachment C includes new policies that require board action by resolution 2014-06. And that approves the Title VI program and policies. Staff is recommending that the board approve the Title VI program document and supporting policies, and I can answer any questions at this time.
Okay, we've had a couple of work sessions we went over this fairly thoroughly at other times, so. No questions? Are we ready for a motion then? John, go ahead.
I move that the board adopt resolution number 2014-05 as outlined in attachment B, and resolution number 2014-06 is outlined in attachment C.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and now any discussion? How many pages is this altogether? 300 and some pages or something like that? It's
The appendices are about 280 pages, and the Title VI program is 85 pages.
Linda had a copy of it about like this, yeah. Okay, are we ready for a vote? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thanks. Approve the Special Transportation Fund Advisory Committee's recommendation for distribution of funding.
You missed item 2.
Did I bounced one?
You did.
Let me go back here. Let me get the right one. Enjoy driving? What is this? I'm getting spam on my... Okay. Select a board member to review the general manager's comprehensive performance evaluation.
I'll nominate Brad Coy.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, moved and seconded. Any dissenting votes? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. What that is each board member evaluates the general manager annually. Did you want her to give a report on that?
Not anymore.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't see you getting up, Paula.
That's quite all right.
And this board member then reviews all the answers and makes sure that it's all written properly and in the form and everything. So, sorry about that, Paula. You had your moment, and I missed it. Okay, let's see. The next item is now the STF Advisory Committee's recommendation for distribution.
Yeah, and Ted Stonecliffe will make a repeat appearance.
I did that to her one other time.
President Thompson and members of the board. Today, we're bringing you a proposal for applying for supplemental STF or Special Transportation Fund dollars. As the designated STF agency for Marion and Polk counties, we are obligated to distribute funds from the STF program run by the ODOT Rail and Public Transportation Division. In September 2013, ODOT announced Part A of a supplemental funding package in the amount of $5 million statewide. After the February session of the state legislature, another $4 million became available. This is referred to as Part B. Tonight, we take the recommendation of the STF Advisory Committee to the board for approval to apply for these Part B supplemental funds. We already received your approval to apply for Part A at the February board meeting. The STF Advisory Committee recommends using the same formula for distribution as proposed for the Part A supplement. This formula is a population-based formula that currently applies to the cities of Woodburn and Silverton and Salem-Keizer Transit. The amounts from Part B are $25,265, $5,355, and $306,041 respectively, for a total of $336,661. The amounts are listed in the memo under the recommendation section. And we recommend following the STF Advisory Committee and approving this application. I can answer any questions at this time.
Marcia.
I move the board approve the application to the Oregon Department of Transportation Public Transit Division for supplemental STF dollars totaling $336,661 for Salem-Keizer Transit, the City of Woodburn, and the City of Silverton, as recommended by the STF Advisory Committee.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Now, any questions of Ted?
My question isn't related so much to this. Did you fulfill the opening on the committee? We had somebody named Brian show up. Did he apply?
He did submit an application, and we're intending to bring that to you in June. Our next advisory committee meeting is not until July, so we have time for that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So the distribution is consistent with proportions of prior distributions, or how is that?
Correct. We're using the same population-based formula that we have in the past.
And so this money gets provided to the city specifically to use on public transit or things
Correct.
associated with that?
Right. In Woodburn, it's the Woodburn Transit Service, and Silverton has the Silver Trolley. So each of them have, Woodburn is stating that they would use the funds for operations of their service, And I believe in Silverton, they're looking at purchasing an additional shelter and scheduling software.
Thank you.
Okay, are we ready for a vote? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next item is appoint new members to the Citizen Advisory Committee, and I'll shut up.
Sadie Carney, our Community Relations Officer, will present the staff report.
All right. Good evening, President Thompson, members of the board. Tonight, I'm bringing before you what is close to the final chapter of our Citizen Advisory Committee restructuring and asking that the board appoint some new members that are listed in Attachment B. The Citizen Advisory Committee was formed in November 2012 to serve the board by offering community input on a variety of topics. Our original committee was 19 members, which overrepresented certain demographics in our population. On Attachment C, which is the back page of this part, you'll see the committee members who were initially appointed to the Citizen Advisory Committee that remain serving in an excess at-large capacity. That committee, over time, suffered from attendance lapses, and we were forced to move some people off of the committee due to lapses in attendance. We had difficulty achieving a quorum from time to time, and generally suffered from attrition. And the Board of Directors moved to restructure the committee, and we did that with Resolution 13-12 on December 12th of 2013. Newly recruited citizen members belong to one of the predetermined member seats that were established in the CAC bylaws revisions. And if you don't remember what they are, they're listed in Attachment B with the names and information of the new members. And as I previously stated, the CAC members currently serving the remainder of a term will continue to sit on the committee in an excess at-large capacity, and they are listed in Attachment C. I'd like to add that since Attachment B was written for the board report and submitted to the packet, 2 additional members, a representative from Salem-Keizer School District and a representative for an ethnic community member, have agreed to join the Citizen Advisory Committee. I think it's going to be a great group, and I'm really excited to get them all together and get started. So I'm happy to entertain any questions.
When are you planning on meeting first with this group?
I am going to poll members of the group to see which days of the week and times. It's very likely it will be an evening meeting and in the second half of the month, but after that, we'd like to offer a little flexibility on the days. With our initial committee, the Monday evenings often conflicted with holidays, and we'd like to avoid that if we can. Prior to our first meeting as a full group, we'll have an orientation for new members to which our board liaisons will be invited. That will be a lunch. We'll try and get them in and out in an hour just to introduce them to the issues that are likely to face the CAC, make sure they know who you are, make sure they know who Alan is, etc.
Okay, so are you aiming for June?
I am.
So the 1 to 2 year terms is so that ideally half the committee every year would be.
Right. So that there's not any time when we have a committee that is entirely new members more frequently than we have to. Sort of stagger that.
Marcia?
I'm a little unclear. You said that prior to the Attachment B, and so I'm seeing names in Attachment B. But I don't see anything under youth leader. Now, that wouldn't be somebody from Salem-Keizer School District, right? The Salem-Keizer School District person that you were talking about is Michael Shields.
Correct. So the youth leader, we're assuming that position is likely to remain vacant during summer vacation. And so it might not be that easy to recruit a student at this time of year. It's likelier we'll find someone in September, I think.
Other questions?
I just want to note that Michael Shields runs the transportation program for the school district, so, yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
That's a
Michael
nice
Shields is
addition.
the Director of Transportation Services, and the person representing the ethnic community is Oscar Pures from MAPS Credit Union, and he is their Community Outreach Coordinator.
I just have a question. We had a gal that had contacted us 2 or 3 times from Job Growers who works with the youth who wanted to serve on the board. Did you ever connect with her?
Katie Stubblefield?
I believe that was her.
Yeah, we definitely have connected on a number of occasions, both informally, just running into one another at events, and I went and presented to the Job Growers group that she leads, the sort of community group, and she doesn't, the social service provider, I suppose she could fall into that position. But after our initial meetings with the Job Growers crowd, I didn't hear further interest from her, so I'm not sure. I wasn't.
Because she asked 3 or 4 times and sent emails that I had forwarded saying, how do I get onto this committee?
Sure,
That's why I find it kind of curious that, did she just lose interest after nobody responded, or, just?
Well, I certainly responded to her, and I went and presented to her Job Growers group. And when it came time for an active recruitment of this sort, I guess I may have not responded to her in that regard because it felt like our conversation had sort of taken care of what she needed in the presentations we had conducted prior to that.
Okay. So maybe she changed her mind from, I want to actively serve on the board, to I just need information. I don't know. Seems
She
kinda odd.
seemed quite satisfied, and I haven't heard a lot from her in a professional manner since. I gave her all of the information that she requested about the youth pass, which was the primary concern of the Job Growers group, as I recall.
Thank you.
Alan?
I just want to add, I know that there was a little frustration about getting the committee reactivated, but I would just say it took a little time to get this group together, and if you look at the people on here, it's a pretty quality group, so I think now that we're getting ready to get started, I think you'll see some good things from this group.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make it. I move that the board approve the appointments to the vacant positions on the Citizen Advisory Committee as shown in Attachment B, effective May 22nd, 2014.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have one thing to say. It takes me back a little bit when I start having my students show up on lists of community activists. Katie Kostick was in my 4th grade class at McKinley, and I'm excited to see her all grown up, so that'll be fun.
Wait till you start seeing them in their senior citizens advisory group or something. Anyway, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Marcia?
I would, there still is 3 weeks before school gets out, and I would maybe contact a couple of the high schools that are heavy users of the district and see, because if you have an initial orientation meeting and then start meeting, it's going to make it more difficult for a youth member to feel included in the group.
That's a good idea.
And I think there are environmental clubs, there are, like the bicycle clubs at the schools, and there are kids who have some leadership skills, and I think that you might be well-served to contact the schools that are really heavily there and see if there's some interest somewhere.
And I might add that most high schools have a leadership team where they look for outside community activities to participate in. So I think you wouldn't have trouble finding someone. It's just making that connection.
Right, thank you.
Okay, are we ready for a vote? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. The next item is Courthouse Square post-construction report, and we're just going to accept that. And we just got it tonight, so we haven't had a chance to read it.
I will walk through it. Well, Courthouse Square project is over. This is one of the final requirements to close out this project. If you recall, way back in the beginning, both this board and the county took action to use an alternative procurement method and selected the design-build alternative. As a result of that, under ORS 279C.355, there's a requirement that the contracting agencies prepare a formal post-project evaluation of public improvement projects in excess of $100,000 for which the competitive bidding process was not used. The purpose of this evaluation is to determine whether it was actually in the contracting agency's best interest to use an alternative contracting method. The evaluation must be delivered to the contracting agency's contract review authority within 30 days of when the project is accepted. I will tell you, the county did accept the report earlier this week at their meeting, and we are within the 30-day time limit. The post-construction report is in your packet as Attachment A, and it actually is a very great summary of the entire project. In the introduction, it has the purpose of why we're doing this report, and then explains the different rules, because under the county, they have their own regulations. We use the Attorney General model rules, which allows the same thing. Section 2 is a background of the project and gives a nice summary and lists the project management team. Then it gets into the scope of work and all of the costs and the changes and the change order packages, summary of final costs with the additional expenditures from the original contract, project schedule, and a summary of all the changes. Ultimately, in the back, it has a conclusion, and the conclusion of the project management team was that the project was a success, and using the design-build alternative contracting method resulted in a strengthened and safe complex with a 50-year service life being delivered on time and on budget. The owners and the public did benefit from the integrated project team's experience, knowledge, and specialized technical expertise in repairing the structural deficiencies. The complex has been fully restored to its fully functional capacity and will continue to serve as a joint government asset that has been placed back into full service. So what we're asking you tonight is to accept that post-construction report.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move that we accept the post-construction report on the Courthouse Square Complex Remediation Project, exemption order number 11-80.
I'll second.
As required by.
Been moved and,
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? I saw a lot of that material that's in there. Was it actually in our packet?
Yes.
It was, okay. I guess I read it. Okay, are we ready for a vote? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. And that's all of our action items. Our information items tonight are non-existent, so we'll go right into reports. Rideshare report.
Right. Yeah, thank you. Roxanne Rolls will provide the Chariot's rideshare quarterly report.
Good evening, President Thompson, members of the board. This is the Chariot's Rideshare third quarter report. We'll start with our statistics from Drive Less Connect. That's the tri-state database that's used to help people match up in carpools, van pools, bicycling, and even walking partners. We have a cumulative number of users currently at 2,756. New users in the third quarter, we had 150 additional people join in. Cumulative ride match searches performed. This is since the beginning, so this is September of 2012. So almost 5,000 searches have been performed, and of those searches, There have been over 2,000 ride match requests sent. I think you're all familiar with the poster project that we do. It may have been, the image may have been different in your board packet. It was photocopied. Did it get corrected? Oh, thank you. Then strike that. It looks just like this. So we do a poster contest every year. Each year we try to include more students if we can. So this year we had, let me see, I know I have the statistics as far as the schools. Oops, backwards. So you know that we work with all the high schools, all the middle schools in Polk, Marion, and Yamhill County. We talk with the art teachers. If there's not an art teacher, we talk with the administration. It often ends up being a PE teacher or one of the administrators that will work with the students. We provide them with supplies, we provide them with a theme, and then let the kids go crazy and design posters for us. So this year's theme was, what moves you? And we had a lot of kids that came up with ideas outside of a ride share. However, knowing that inspiration moved them or knowing that art moved them was fantastic for us. So we did decide to use one of the students' artwork, this Chariots Moves Me, for the Summer Youth Pass. And this student was given a free Summer Youth Pass for letting us use their artwork. It certainly builds our relationship with the schools, and it gives us more and more opportunity to work with the schools because we have such a positive relationship with them and the students. And of course, we get art that we can then use all year. So the theme again was What Moves Me. We had 22 schools participating in all 3 counties. We had over 700 posters to judge. So this year we decided to have separate categories for high schools and for middle schools. So we have a first, second, and third in high school division, first, second, and third in middle school division, and then 6 honorable mentions in each division as well. So I'm actually going to share something with you that there are 2 posters in here that the students haven't been told that their posters won, so if they're watching, they're going to know right now. But I wanted to give you the images that we selected. This is Imagination Moves Me. This was done by a student at North Salem High School. This is the first place winner in the high school category. Certainly got high marks for imagination. We kept looking at the cat. The image is wonderful, and of course, you'll see this in the calendar next year. This is the second place in the high school category. The more you look at this, the more intricate it becomes. We're so pleased with this. And this is the third place in the high school category. Something a little different than what we've had before, but we just felt the imagery was so unique and so original, we wanted to recognize that student. This is the first place in the middle school category. So again, they've got all these different modes. We just thought this was colorful. It has the right message. This one, Greg Thompson on staff, who was one of the judges, pulled this one out and said, this one has to win. This is second place in the middle school. Again, if you keep looking at it, you see more and more and more in it. We've got the bus at the bottom, the car, the motorcyclist, the robot, the dragon. We've got the balloon. And then here is the third place winner in the middle school category, The World Moves Me. And we just loved these posters. So we're very proud of the kids. We're able to work with some of the local bike shops to award the kids. The first place winners actually get a free bicycle. And then we've worked with Craft Warehouse to award the kids some gift certificates to buy some more art supplies for themselves. So the projects that we're working on, the state has determined to do a 2014 Drive Less Challenge, very similar to last year. The dates will be extended. It was just, I think, 12 days last year, if I remember correctly. This year, we're going from the 6th to the 19th of October. Statewide challenge. My understanding is we're going to shoot for 1 million reduced vehicle miles. Last time, we shot for 500,000, and we almost got to 1 million, so we're shooting for over 1 million this year. We're also going to be doing a carpool formation challenge. That's just within Chariot's Rideshare and Cascades West Council of Government and Lane Transit. We're going to try to get some more folks just into carpool specifically, tentatively named Carpalooza. We're working on the rideshare program strategic plan. We had some additional resources left over from several years ago, So we've hired Alta Planning to help the rideshare program determine what is the best direction for us with the limited resources we have to cover the geography we have. How can we best serve all three communities? So we've been working with them. They may in fact be in contact with some of the board to interview you to discuss the rideshare program and what you see as our future. And the ACT leadership, this is something Kiki Doman is participating in. She was one of 6 people in the United States accepted into the Association for Commuter Transportation Leadership. And she's been attending meetings. She's working on a presentation now about how does transportation demand management impact the millennials and vice versa. What are the changing demographics going to do to traffic, cycling, vehicle ownership, et cetera. So she's going to do that presentation in San Francisco in August, and she's also been asked to also do that presentation at the Oregon Transit Association conference in Seaside later on this year. So I'm really proud of her. She's worked hard on this. And that is the third quarter report, if you have any questions.
Brad?
So are we gonna get to see that presentation by Kiki?
If you would like to see that, I would be very pleased to ask her.
Might be a good work session.
Yeah, I'd
Topic.
be interested.
Absolutely, I'll put it on my list.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Looking good. Just keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Next item, board subcommittee reports. Citizen Advisory Committee, we already heard about that. Mid-Willamette Area and Commission on Transportation.
We met the first Thursday of the month. We went over the tentative ranking we did on Connect Oregon projects. The month before, there were a few more people there, but there were no changes made on what we went forward with. And we had a presentation on the construction projects that had taken place last construction season around the 3-county area that ODOT was responsible for. It's always an interesting presentation. They're all road projects, however. So that was pretty much the meeting. And I haven't heard back on what the status was. What happens is that we prioritize our projects for Connect Oregon, and then it goes to an all area, which includes the coast, Eugene. No, it didn't. Eugene and Lane County. Anyway, there's an all area meeting, and then the projects that sort of juggle around that there's money for go to a state committee, and that won't happen until the first part of June or the middle of June. So we don't know what the status is unless somebody's had an update. I looked for some email, but I didn't see anything as an email update.
Okay, the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments will be meeting in a couple of weeks. Special Transportation Fund Advisory Committee, you saw what we proposed tonight with the distribution of funds. And there's a written report in your file there if you want to read about what happened at that particular meeting. Unless, John, you have something you want to say? Okay. Salem-Keizer Area Transportation Study Policy Committee.
That group's going to meet next Tuesday at noon.
About your Metropolitan Planning Organization.
And the OMPOC, the Oregon Metropolitan Planning Organization Consortium, is going to meet in Corvallis on Friday, June 18th. I put on my note Eugene, but it's Corvallis.
Okay.
July 18, excuse me.
I assume there's been nothing on the river crossing.
Well, actually, there's going to be an open house for the river crossing,
right.
which will be held here in the Senate hearing room on June 11th. That's Wednesday, June 11th, from 4 to 6:30 p.m. And that's open to the public and anybody else that's interested. And then the River Crossing Committee, the oversight team, will be meeting at the Mid-Willamette Valley COG office on Thursday, June 26th, from 11 to 2 p.m. So those two meetings are coming up in the next month.
Okay, thank you. And, okay. Guess we're down to board management issues and general manager.
I just have a couple items to report. I sent to you late this afternoon a legislative alert from APTA that the House Appropriations Committee passed the fiscal year 15 or Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development appropriations bill. It was basically the same appropriations level as this year, with the caveat that any additional funding would be contingent upon the authorizing committees completing a new transportation bill, which I don't foresee happening in the near future. There were some cuts to the general fund surface transportation programs. As you recall, over the last several years, the transportation bill has had to be funded with an infusion of general fund monies. Typically, the programs that are funded under the general fund infusion, we don't qualify for their major capital investment grants, new starts, that we don't qualify, Amtrak and Tiger grants. So that has passed. We're waiting now whether or not the Senate Appropriations Committee will act on their appropriations bill, or what's going to happen with a transportation bill. APTA, on behalf of all of its members, including us, has sent letters to the appropriations committees voicing concerns about the funding levels, not only being flat, but some being reduced. It's just part of the ongoing process to get to the next transportation bill, which, as you know, the Senate has done their version, the President has done his version, and the House still working on theirs. Ultimately, all of it will go to a conference committee to hash out, but that won't happen in the near future. Also, you should have received in the mail yesterday, and you have a copy in front of you today, your invitation to our annual awards banquet, which is on June 28th at the Salem Convention Center, and we hope your schedule allows you to attend that event. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Alan. Oh, I've had a rather busy month, I guess. Started out with the STF committee meeting, Special Transportation Fund committee meeting earlier, that we had on the agenda earlier. Salem Area Chamber of Commerce Policy Committee meeting, and we were discussing the city's economic improvement district, which was really interesting. And that's, I don't know, has that come up for a vote yet? Haven't heard how that's coming out yet, but it's a project where they do improvement things in the downtown area, as well as support the various projects and things that the city has that tries to bring business down to the downtown area. It was very interesting. Several of us attended an open house to see the work of our Portland State University students, the Paragon Planning Project, and that was really interesting and eye-opening experience to see what they've done. They're really hardworking young students that are in the management program of the urban cities, whatever the program, what is it?
The Masters of Urban and Regional Planning. Did I get that right, Sadie?
You did.
Anyway, they're pretty sharp kids, I'll tell you what. I attended Showbiz. That was interesting. We had a really nice booth there with photographs of anybody that wanted to have their picture taken, and we actually got some good publicity out of that. Picture was in the Statesman, wasn't it? Yeah, the Statesman of one of our employees. Went to the budget orientation, and then a week later went to our first budget meeting. We have the next budget meeting next Thursday. And went to chamber lunch and heard from Frank Youngers, who was a former president of the Arabian American Oil Company. He talked about oil in Saudi Arabia, basically, and all the things that he had to go through in that position. It was very interesting, and he's right up to date on what's going on now, and he learned a lot, so it was very interesting. We did have a work session, and I did attend the Salem-Keizer Transit yard sale. I didn't buy anything. I brought my wife back for a second time, and she still wouldn't let me buy anything, so we didn't buy anything. So how did we do on that anyway?
We're still complying, the surplus sale, we're still compiling the final report, but it looks like it's somewhere just north of $6,000. So it was a success for us. And I had included in my weekly report, but I think the important part for us was helping some fellow local governments and nonprofits be able to get new to them furniture and supplies that improve their operation. So good team building for that.
Anyway, that's my report, and why don't we start down with Marcia?
Did the area commission that I reported on already, and the budget orientation and the budget committee meeting. I had a busy month for AUW and toting my spouse along to some of his meetings as well, so I'll get back in the groove with more meetings for transit.
Well, I was on vacation during the last board meeting, so I have a big, long list, but I also had the privilege of attending the last OMPOC meeting. It was in Eugene, and they gave us the tour of the downtown area, that they have this great program working for them, and downtown has come back and is very viable, and hopefully we here in Salem can learn from their experience and do some of the same things. I have also attended the regional meeting of the National Association of Railway Passengers in Portland. Some of the same meetings that our other directors have attended, the Courthouse Square rededication. I've attended 4 neighborhood association meetings carrying the flag for chariots. I attended the opening of the Native American exhibit at Mission Mill Historical Center. And also attended the 2 board meetings and work sessions during this period, and the grad student transit open house, which I think they had some great ideas for maybe serving some of our less served areas where we're having trouble because of volume of traffic. I enjoyed showbiz. I like going around talking to everybody there and telling the chariot story. I represented chariots at the Salem Railroad Station on National Train Day when they had a big hoopla over there. And then also, I think that's about all I did, but it was quite a busy month, so I enjoyed it.
All right. I too attended our local neighborhood association meetings, and didn't talk a lot of transit, talked a lot of local politics this last meeting. I too went to the open house that the Portland State students put on. That was very stimulating. A lot of waving of arms and pointing at charts. It was pretty exciting. They did a good job. We got our money's worth. Right, and attended the STF meetings, and we've got another STF at Almsville coming up next Tuesday. That's it.
Right ahead.
Well, I'm attending the same budget meetings and work sessions that everyone else is. I did go with Alan to the Travel Salem Awards Luncheon, which was very interesting. They showed a video of the 7 Wonders of Oregon. I think if you can hit it on YouTube and take a look at it, it's really well done and something you should take a look at. I've been traveling a lot with my wife's jazz band almost every weekend now, setting up. I'm the roadie unofficially. So we were at the Iris Festival and I've been around for award banquets here at the Convention Center, a couple of those. And so I've been mingling with a lot of folks from the community. We did what I call a closure meeting for the Courthouse Square. We were all here for that, I think, or most of us. And that's about it.
Okay, Brad.
So yeah, I've also attended the work sessions and board meetings that we've had. I also enjoyed seeing the bus in the Keizer Iris Festival Parade. So thank you to those who participated, got the bus dressed up. I believe it had some Iris is on it, and also, yeah, it's always great to see that. And that really is a great opportunity in the Keizer area to get good publicity. So might be thinking about things in the future that that the district could do to engender increased, I guess, awareness of the bus. Something as as some of the people were walking around passing out flyers or coupons or that sort of thing. It just made me think. I wonder what we could do as a transit district that could take advantage of having so much of the Keizer population there all in one spot.
Oh, so I had a busy month this week, so I didn't make the work session, just overloaded with work. I did get to make showbiz, and it was great to see Sadie, and I found out that she was a member of the Grant Neighborhood Association, so that's great to learn. And Roxanne had really fun pictures for Facebook, and Steve made sure that he represented Salem-Keizer Transit as a good employee. So, little side joke there. So, the thing I think that I learned when I went to Showbiz and talked to Roxanne and Steve is that we have reached the limit of subsidizations for the van pools, which is disappointing. And we went to the budget committee, they confirmed that. So I guess that was sad news for me because I thought it was a great way for people to get out. It was sad tonight to come and hear that we have issues that we can't necessarily resolve with people trying to shop and carts, but I get that if you have a baby carriage rolling through the bus, you could injure somebody. Too bad we don't have the seniors red line or can't get out the word for food for less vans if every grocery store had that, but we just don't have the money, obviously, to solve all those problems. Was happy to hear that somebody that I referred to the Special Education Transportation Committee did sign up and attend the meeting. He came from Employment First. They're another group that would really advocate for the special transportation, so good to see that. And I'm taking vacation in June, and so I need somebody to replace me for the luncheon for SEDCOR that Linda signed me up for. So talk to Jerry. Already done. All right.
Disregard. Okay, anybody else have anything else for the good of the order? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you. These are for your signature. Somewhere in there, I guess.